Today, I messed up by trying to break my buddy out of jail. It worked for a minute.
This is the story of a jailbreak that actually worked for about a minute. It happened years ago. I won't share certain specifics, and I'll use fake names, but this was the most epic screw-up I've ever been part of, and it was mine. At the time, I was in the military, stationed stateside. One night, a group of buddies and I discovered Jaeger bombs. Round after round, we kept them coming, and before we knew it, the night had flown by. My friend Brian offered to drive my roommate and me back to our off-base apartment. We didn't make it far. A car full of three 21-year-olds leaving a bar at 2 a.m. near a military base, that drew police attention. We got pulled over, and as soon as the officer reached Brian's window, it was clear we were drunk. All of us admitted it. Brian blew into the breathalyzer and failed instantly. He was cuffed and placed in the back of the patrol car. Then the officer turned to my roommate and me. He explained that if one of us blew under the limit, we could drive Brian's car home and save him the impound fees. We both tried. We both failed. Here's where it gets weird. The officer left us with Brian's car and the keys. Then he drove off with Brian to book him into the local jail. To this day, I have no idea why he left us like that. About 20 minutes later, my roommate and I had what seemed like a brilliant idea. A quick note. This all happened years ago, back when DUI penalties were just starting to become as serious as they are today. We were young, reckless, and unbelievably stupid. I don't condone drinking and driving in any way, and I'm grateful that nobody was hurt. Now, back to the bad ideas. Both my roommate and I were military police officers. We felt guilty for letting Brian drive us, and now he was in trouble. So, with zero judgment, we decided to drive Brian's car back to our apartment ourselves. It wasn't far, but that doesn't excuse the stupidity. And then, somewhere between leaving the bar and arriving home, we came up with the ultimate plan. We were going to break Brian out of jail. The master plan. Here's how it went down step by step. Return Brian's car to our apartment. Brush our teeth. Pop in gum. Shave and get into our military police uniforms. Put on our guard belts to look like we were on duty. Call my precinct's dispatch and ask them not to contact the jail Brian was at. Every night, the command checked local jails for military members. Luckily, I knew the dispatcher on duty, and he owed me a big favor. He agreed without asking questions. Call the jail directly, pretending to be my command. I asked if any military members were in custody. They confirmed Brian was there. I then asked if we could come take him into custody. They said yes. Switch cars, leave Brian's car at the apartment, and take one of our own. Give ourselves one last pep talk, then head out. We pulled into the jail parking lot around 4 a.m. It was completely empty. We buzzed at the entrance, explained we were there to take custody of Brian, and were told, okay. 25 of the longest minutes of my life later, a loud buzzer sounded. The heavy metal door slid open, and there stood two corrections officers and Brian in handcuffs. The look on his face was priceless. Jaw dropped, pale as a ghost. I told the officers I'd put my own cuffs on him so they could take theirs back. I even gave him a pad down before swapping them out. And just like that, Brian was in my custody. We thanked the officers, walked him out, and headed across the lot toward our car, hearts pounding. That's when my roommate whispered, "Don't get in the car. Don't get in the car." I turned around to see the arresting officer standing behind us. He looked us dead in the eye and asked, "Aren't you two the passengers from the vehicle I pulled over tonight?" Busted. Our luck had run out. The lot had been empty when we arrived, but while we were inside waiting, the arresting officer had pulled in and was sitting in his patrol car doing paperwork. He watched us walk Brian out of jail like it was nothing. You can guess what happened next. We all went to jail. By 8 a.m., our command came to get us. Back at base, I was told to go home, pack my things, and be ready because this wasn't going to end well. The next day, I returned and didn't leave base for 45 days until we deployed again. The fallout. I was punished to the fullest extent of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I disappointed a lot of people, and I carried that shame. But at the same time, I was infamous. Word spread fast. Everyone knew about the failed jailbreak, and for better or worse, it made us celebrities. People said we embodied loyalty. You had to admire the audacity, even if the execution was insane. Thankfully, this didn't end my career. I served out my enlistment honorably, and I've never screwed up like that again. Looking back now, it was crazy, reckless, and absolutely stupid. But it's also one of those wild stories that remind me of the bonds we had as brothers in arms. We tried to break a friend out of jail, and for a brief, glorious moment, it worked.